Hey guys, what's up? Mike here, and today I've got another fairy tale review, chapter 525, and it's actually been a few days since I've been able to review. I think it's been 4 days since I've gotten a review. Today's Sunday, so the last one must have been Konosuba on Wednesday, and there's a reason for that. Obviously, there's been two mangas that gone on hiatus this week, Seven Deadly Sins and My Hero Academia, two of my favorite series, unfortunately have a hiatus, but you know what? Since the little bit of a sketchy artwork from the previous weeks before, I'm okay with them missing out on a couple weeks here and there, so let's get into the review today, guys. This week's chapter was definitely a slow fairy tale chapter in the grand scheme of things. I mean, fairy tale chapters really aren't that fast when it comes to pacing, but then again, you can argue that they really are, because some of the fights just get over like that. But in this week, it was kind of just a lot of fighting, to be honest with you. We get a little bit more on Zeref's kind of contradiction side of him, we get a little bit more into the August Gildarts fight, and we get a little bit more on Larcade, obviously, as we find out later. But we started with Gildarts and August going back at it, and August pulls out the card that he pulled out at the end of last week's chapter, which happened to be the parent-child card. And I was just wondering where he was coming from in that, and maybe that one of the Spriggan were his child or something like that. But no, he was really relating that to Zeref and his relationship with Larcade, and how he didn't understand how a parent and child relationship, they're supposed to love each other yet. You know, he hasn't actually seen that from the one man that he admires as the king of all things, Zeref. So from that point on, it becomes clear that August doesn't really understand just the relationship between a father and a child, and he doesn't understand why, especially because Zeref has been showing him the bad way to do it, you know, the bad way to be a parent. And he doesn't realize that, you know, just because you have a child doesn't mean you have to love them. And that is kind of like a sad thing to say, but it's true. You don't have to love your child. You should love your child, but you don't have to. And that's not always the case. You know, the parent doesn't always love the child. Gildarts immediately takes this to heart, this threat that he got against Kana. You know, what would you ever do if you lost your daughter or whatever? And Gildarts goes immediate rage mode, which is a great moment from Gildarts, and you don't really see it a lot. Like I said last week, I was really hoping for this to happen. I was hoping for it to go a little bit farther than this, you know, as in Gildarts getting mad and just throwing a punch. You know, you see the veins on his eyes. He is mad, but I wanted to see him throw a bit more than just one punch. I wanted to see him go all out with his magic. And maybe he is, and we don't even know it. But if he is, then this fight's not going to last very long, and August shouldn't even be worried about dodging Kana's cards. And that was another part about this that comes in a little bit later. Kana jumps in and she tries to stand up for herself, which is great. I really appreciate that in her character. And Gildarts, obviously that was a good moment. She says, "Dad, let me go." And Gildarts was like, "No, I'm not letting my daughter go." But at the same time, I am proud of her, and I am realizing that she can be independent on her own. But why did August ever bother to even dodge her attacks? You know, he didn't even dodge Gildarts' crash. So why is he dodging these cards when he's the king of all magic and knows all of the magic skills? And that just may be part of the magic. He just knows it's better to dodge than to try and deflect it. But even still, it just got me worried that, or wondering that Kana is so weak. Why is Gildarts even bothering, or August even bothering dodging? I was especially wondering this later on when Gildarts is getting absolutely trashed by August. You know, you see him put his staff right to Gildarts' chest, and he's done for. He's out of the game. Well, I mean, obviously not out of the game, because he just pops up right after, pretty fine. And I guess these guys with high magical abilities also have high magical tolerance, but at the same time, it was a huge explosion. Basically, disintegrated the ground around it, yet Gildarts is just, you know, ugh, that kind of hurt. Gildarts is tough, but like, this is supposed to be a fight that, you know, have some serious punches to be packing. So then we go back over to Zeref and Natsu going head to head again from last chapter, and obviously I'm really looking forward to seeing this fight animated. Zeref is looking like he says, he is looking like he's having fun. He's smiling half the time, he's like just enjoying himself fighting, and we see that Larcade is actually alive too, which, come on, like, nobody cares about Larcade. And I'm not gonna lie, he was cool when we first got an introduction to him, and you know how he's gonna be this, you know, kind of weakness for Acnologia, but that never came to fruition. He wasn't even a weakness for anybody. Couldn't even be a weakness for Sting. And I mean, I know they were the same element or whatever, there's discussion on that, but at the same time, I mean, he was just such a disappointment. And he just shows up and he just begs for his father's forgiveness and then just gets smacked like a little bitch. As Natsu and Zeref are fighting, Mavis kind of comes in telepathy for the rest of the guild and tells them that she wants them to rendezvous with her, and that nobody else can understand why, because the enemy might be listening. So basically, Mavis has this plan where everyone needs to trust in Natsu, and apparently Natsu is going to be able to do something that he doesn't even know yet. I don't think. With Zeref, or Mavis is trusting that Natsu will trigger something in Zeref, maybe. I don't know. Mavis's plan at this point is kind of unclear, although it was just like, there's been a lot of hints about what type of abilities may be able to stop Zeref or Acnologia, and what type of abilities have to go with her plan, because when she first recognized her plan a little while ago in the Spriggan arc, it was when Lucy and Natsu did like a team kick together. So I wonder if that's going to have something to do with it here, but I just wonder why she wants to leave Natsu behind, maybe just to keep Zeref occupied. That makes sense, I guess. So even though Lucy's worrying and reluctant to leave, I think Gray's the same way, but he just doesn't say it. They leave anyways, and Natsu finally gets a good grasp on Zeref when they do this, or I guess it gives Lucy enough confidence to leave when Natsu finally gets a good grab on Zeref's arm and gives him a good punch. I mean, it doesn't really do much, but it shows that, you know, he can throw a few punches here and there, and the fight is kind of even. I mean, they're throwing punches for punches, but Zeref's not really getting hurt by them, and I guess Natsu isn't either, so you could call it semi-even at this point, but it's more because Zeref wants to have fun, and that's what he goes into now. He's just having fun, but then he wants to stop Natsu, but then he's having fun, but then he wants to kill him, you know, so this is the Curse of Contradiction coming in. I think that the fun part is the contradiction part, where he really just enjoys all of this chaos and mayhem and fighting and whatever, but at the same time he actually does believe that killing Natsu will be the future for humanity. If he doesn't kill them, then humanity will not move on. As I was saying last week, it could be something to do with Acnologia, and but then again, why does Natsu have to be gone for that to happen? And in order for, I mean, if Zeref's going from the perspective of I need to kill all my creations and whatever is bad for the world, and then I need to kill Acnologia for the future of humanity, okay, that's fine. But then again, I really just don't see how Natsu plays into this part, and I just want to find out, to be honest with you. If you guys have any ideas, comment down below, let me know for sure. So we know, as I was speaking of last chapter, that Zeref's eyes, when he gets a little bit crazy, or when the Curse of Contradiction comes into play, his eyes go a different style than normal, and they definitely went that way this chapter, especially when he was like, you know, I'm having fun, and that's why I assume that him having fun is part of the Contradiction Curse. And then again, I think that also him killing Larcade is part of the Contradiction Curse, because he goes into this crazy kind of emotion-filled, like, you know, different emotions. You know, he's having fun, he's angry the next moment, you know, he's going crazy the next moment, you know, and I think that has part to do with why he killed Larcade. You know, the whole chapter, August was wondering why a parent should, or why a parent loves a child and how they should love a child. And, you know, in that scenario, we think that Zeref should love Larcade, but the Curse of Contradiction says that anything that you love will die. So, in that sense, it makes sense that Zeref killed Larcade in a way. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a stretch for an argument. He could have just been pissed and just said, fuck you, Larcade, you're a piece of shit, like the rest of us were thinking. But either way, it's interesting to think about for sure. Right before Larcade gets absolutely wrecked, we get a little bit of a flashback showing to Pret investigating Mavis's body in the Lumen Histoire. We basically find out that Larcade has actually been a part of Mavis for a while, and at least that's what I took from this part of the chapter. I could be, you know, reading the words wrong, but from what I saw, it looked like Larcade was actually inside Mavis from a long time ago, and that she was somehow impregnated by Zeref a long time ago. I mean, they only kissed, but you can only do so much with a children's or like teen manga or whatever, so you can't actually show the sex between this weird lolly girl and a way older guy, but it is implied. So I think that part of it was just showing whether Pret wanted to kill or leave Larcade, and eventually I think that he left him, obviously, because Larcade's here today. Well, he's not anymore, because Zeref actually just pounds through his heart in this chapter and kills him right on the spot. Doesn't even have a second thought about it, really. You know, he's just cold, ruthless, and murders his own son right on the spot. I'm not gonna lie, this is really adding to the type of atmosphere that I do enjoy in Fairy Tail. I like when there's actually quick deaths like this, but Larcade's defeat actually already happened. So this really doesn't mean a whole lot to me, to be honest with you, Mashima. You know, if you were gonna kill off Larcade, kill him off in the big battle. You know, don't just have him lose the battle, so then you can just use him as a pointless character that you can later on kill off. You know, the weekend characters that have already lost battles, you can just kill them off whenever, and I feel like that rationale doesn't really work well for storytelling, and I just disagree with it completely. Overall, this chapter has got me kind of excited for the next couple ones. I mean, I am still looking forward to seeing how Fairy Tail ends, but at the same time, this ending is really going in the way that's kind of predictable to an extent, but I do want to see Zeref's plan, and if Zeref's plan has something that throws me off a little bit, you know, Zeref doesn't become a good guy or whatever, and finally join Fairy Tail at the end. Like, I'd be okay with that if they did it tastefully, but I don't think Mashima has the skills to do it tastefully, to be honest with you. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see what his real plan is. And if he does it tastefully, as if he tries to kill Natsu and actually does kill Natsu, I know that it'll be similar to Rave Master, but it still can be pretty good. Overall, this chapter was pretty decent. It was slow, but it had some good fighting, and I mean, not a lot of dialogue, so what can you do? I'll be getting some more videos up this week. Let me know what type of content you guys want to see from me, because I'm willing to, change it up in the future. And let me know what you thought of this video in the comments below. Like and subscribe if you did enjoy it, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.